Hey guys, it's Zara and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys have some tea or coffee with you. I have only a half cup of my black roast tea. I'm absolutely in love with it. Today I put in a little bit of cashew milk instead of regular milk. I am loving it. Talk about some books. I'm going to share with you my physical TBR list from these two bookshelves behind. Some of these books I bought from Indigo or Chapters, some are from secondhand bookstores or thrift stores. Keep collecting them, and then I keep adding more books on my TBR on Goodreads because of TikTok, and I keep forgetting about my physical TBR. So the first book is The Time Traveler's Wife. I got this from the thrift store. I wanted to read it for years. I remember seeing the trailer for the movie years ago when I was younger. I wanted to read the book for a really long time, and I found it at a thrift store, so I grabbed it. It's kind of a thick book, not that thick though. I really want to read it. I keep forgetting I have it. And then I watched the trailer for the new HBO series with Theo James, and I remembered it. Definitely something that I have to move up on my TBR list so I can finally read it. Another book is called The Shadow in the Glass. This one is a Cinderella retelling, almost with a little bit of a twist. I saw this at Indigo, and honestly, it was the first book I bought in quite a while that I didn't see off of TikTok. I read the back and I was really intrigued, so I got it. Fortunately, haven't touched it still. I think I have a bookmark in here for maybe the first or second page that I've read. I have our main character, Ella, who lives with her stepmother and her step siblings, and the only escape that she has is in the library reading her books at night. And one night, midnight, her godmother shows up and gives her 7 wishes that she can make. Each wish comes with a price. I'm very excited to read this. I love Cinderella retellings. I thought this one was pretty interesting, so grabbed it. Definitely have to move this up on my TBR list as well, especially because I haven't been reading fantasy that much, and I'm really excited to get back into it. This is another fantasy series that I do have to read. I did read Mistborn last year, but I didn't have the rest of the series, so I was never able to complete it. Got both of these books from the thrift store as well. I did enjoy the first one. I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars, but I was very excited to read the rest of them. It's just because I got them about a year later. Everything else was prioritized before these 2 books, but I am still very excited to finish the series. We have another romance book. This one's called Recipe for Persuasion. I did get this from a secondhand bookstore. I had never heard of it before, never seen it. I originally picked it up because the back says that the author writes Bollywood-inspired love stories, which I absolutely love, so I thought this would be a good read for me. I was very excited to start it as well. The Golden Compass is next, book 1 of that series. I did actually watch the movie as a kid, and I remember really liking it. I know there's a show for it now for His Dark Materials. I never actually watched it, but I'm excited to read this one. I heard that the original movie was very different than the actual books, and at the thrift store where I got this, they only had 1 book, so I could only get the first one. I'm still really excited to read this one. And I have a classic on my physical TBR as well, Wuthering Heights. I did start this, as you can see my bookmark. I even have some tabs here. I just never got into it. I don't like reading classics that much, especially when they have English that I have to Google to try to understand. Classics are just not for me, but I did want to pick this one up because I was trying to read out of the typical genres that I read. Another classic, I guess, is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Obviously heard so much about it, never watched the show, but I did want to start reading this one. Excited to read this one, and the cover, I love this cover so much. This book I also got from the thrift store, The Hazelwood, I believe, a duology, I think. And I only found the first one. The cover was so beautiful that I had to get it. I have no idea what it's about. I think it's a YA fantasy. I just picked it up because the cover was really nice. I really did judge a book by its cover this time. And another book by Sarah Dessen. Now I know this one's quite old. It's called Once and For All, but I actually saw a TikTok on someone recommending it, and I knew I had to grab it, and I was lucky enough to find it at the thrift store. It's a little damaged right here by the tear, but it was only $1, so I couldn't say no. Haven't read this one still. Haven't even started it, and at this point I've forgotten what it's about. but I'm still excited. Sarah Dessen is one of my favorite authors. I love her book, The Truth About Forever and Dreamland. Next one is The White Coat Diaries. Now, when I first got this book, I thought it was a romance novel. However, there is more plot than just the romance. It's heavily based on the non-romance, but there's a hint of romance. It's about our main character who is doing her medical residency, and she has some pressures from work as well as from her family who are trying to get her to quit her job and stay at home and take care of her mother. And then there's a little bit of the aspect of romance, which is a workplace romance. But you basically watch our main character kind of struggle through with her medical resident and her family as well. And this one, The Wife Between Us, also from a thrift store, a little damaged copy, but it's okay. I believe this one is a mystery. Typically, I don't read these type of books. This was recommended by my sister, so I thought I'd grab it. Haven't touched it for the reason that it is not the typical genre that I read. I've been really into trying to go back into reading fantasy and been reading a lot of romance recently, so it's just been kind of on the back burner. But this one does seem really interesting. And the line from the back that made me really intrigued was, it said, "Assume nothing, read between the lines." And this one is the Ink Heart series. We have Ink Heart, Ink Spell, and Ink Death. Now, I read these books back in middle school, and I remember reading the entire series, but now I cannot remember what it was about at all. For the first one, I did watch the movie as well, and I think the only thing I remember was the main character's mom had gone missing a couple years ago, and they find out that she's actually trapped inside this book. And the first book was all about trying to rescue her. And then I don't remember what happens in the rest of the books, but I remember loving this series so much. I saw it at the thrift store. All 3 books were together and I had to grab it. I'm excited to reread it. This year has been a lot about rereads. While I'm really behind in my Goodreads goals, so the easiest way for me to catch up to it is doing a lot of rereads. Thank you so much for watching my Physical TBR. My TikTok and Instagram I link down below. Comment down below what you are currently reading or some of the books that are on your Physical TBR that you are super excited for. And don't forget to like and subscribe.